Growing up, I had dreams and aspirations, but always felt like the kid that didn't fit in. For the most part, I wasn't a bad kid, but when I made the transition into adulthood, I turned to the streets for guidance. This led to getting locked up in juvenile hall, doing time in CYA, and eventually a 120-month sentence in federal prison. I had a lot of time to think and reflect during my federal sentence, so I share with you what I learned, hoping I can positively influence someone else's life with Prison Talk. What's up, everybody? Big Herc, Fresh Out. Thank you for tuning in for another edition of Prison Talk. If you got any questions, make sure you email us at FreshOutSeries@gmail.com and let us know what's on your mind. And make sure you tell your friends and family to subscribe to our channel. I had a question from one of our viewers. Why are prisoners so violent? Being in jail is already bad enough. You would think people would try to get along. Well, there's a lot of factors that come into play when you talk about inmates and violence. You have social economic factors, broken home, abuse, drugs, and lack of mental maturity. You know, a lot of these guys never really matured mentally, and so violence is what comes most natural. And you're already in an environment that is, you know, pretty much testosterone driven, fueled by, you know, guys who are trying to assert themselves because this is all they have. You know, when you're in prison, you don't have anything else that distinguishes you from the next person. So you're constantly trying to reassert your manhood, superimpose your physical presence on people. It's a lot of, and all that causes conflict. You know, it can lead to violence. You know, so you have a lot of that going on a daily basis. You know, and then when you look at the fact that you're being housed in practically a bathroom with another man, and you guys aren't, you know, given, you know, you're given a basic, you know, toilet, sink, but you're very claustrophobic and you have limited resources. You know, it can make a person go crazy. You know, it's hard. That's why people say, oh, going to prison, you know, I'll do a year on my head, and you know, if you did 5 years, that's no time. A day in prison is a lot of time. You know, you never know what could happen. You don't know what a person's going through in there. You know, you don't know what the mind state of a person is. There's guys who went in there perfectly sane, and you know, you hear about the guy in the hole a year later at another institution, and he's rubbing shit on himself. You know, it's fucking, you know, it drives you crazy. So prison, there's a lot of factors that come into play why people are violent. You know, on top of that, the education sucks. Most of these guys aren't very educated. And when you're educated, it makes you, it elevates your level of communication. So rather than, you know, somebody bumping into you and you want to shank them, you might talk with them. You might say, hey man, excuse me, or, you know, did you mean to step on my shoes? You would handle a situation differently. But when you're dealing with animalistic behavior, lack of education, mental issues, violence is just, it comes natural. And then the guards promote violence. You go to the fucking LA County, you go to Sac County Jail. Sac County got a thing they call the elevator ride. And when I was young, they used to put people up in there, and basically if you fuck up or they feel like you're not following commands, they'll put a motherfucking football helmet on you and beat your motherfucking ass up and down the elevator ride. Yeah, it goes down. It's brutal. You know what I'm saying? When you're in county jail, you know, you're basically subject to whatever the fuck they're gonna do. And who can you tell? You know, they can say, hey, you can't get no visits. You know, can't nobody see you right now, or he's in the hole for you know, behavior issues. While you're in there all fucked up, broken fucking arms and head and shit. You know, it's fucked up, man. And the guards, you know, they're not in there saying, you know, nice things to you. You know, they're in there because they feel that you're being punished, and they're taking out whatever frustration they're dealing with on the street on you. You know, so it's just violence all the way around the board. It's violence it's just a place that in American prisons that this is what they pride themselves on. The wardens love that shit, you know. most of these guys, you know, when they like the fact that, you know, their guards can come in there with these uniforms on, these goon squad uniforms or sword team, and they can come in there and bust some heads. You know, if you have a peaceful prison where guys are getting educated, they're getting reformed, they're working together, they're getting rid of racial lines, pretty soon the population will drop. That's loss of jobs, loss of income for this particular community, and loss of stock returns for a lot of these private corporations that run prisons. So they need it to be hostile. They promote that shit, man. That's why prisons are violent.